Your support helps us bring you programs you love. Go to wyomingpbs.org, click on Support, and become a sustaining member or an annual member. It's easy and secure. Thank you.
To those who are not familiar with the Black 14, this was a seminal moment, not only for the University of Wyoming, but also in the history of Wyoming. Today, when we talk about the elite college football programs in the country, we think of Clemson, Alabama, and Ohio State. 50 years ago, that also included the Wyoming Cowboys. Next on Wyoming Chronicle, we remember all that changed in the UW Fieldhouse on a Friday morning in October of 1969.
Funding for this program is made possible in part by the Wyoming Humanities Council, helping Wyoming take a closer look at life through the humanities, thinkwy.org, and by the members of the Wyoming PBS Foundation. Thank you for your support.
In cooperation with the American Heritage Center at the University of Wyoming, our cameras captured a panel discussion that was part of a series of events at the University of Wyoming that commemorated the 50th anniversary of the Black 14, when 14 African American football players were summarily dismissed from the team by then head coach Lloyd Eaton. The players had wanted to ask permission to protest the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints policy of prohibiting Black people from attaining the priesthood, as well as expressing their concerns about how their Cowboy teammates of color were treated while playing BYU the year before. Thank you, and certainly welcome to the Arts and Sciences Auditorium here on the campus of the University of Wyoming. To those of you who aren't familiar with the Black 14, this was a seminal moment, not only in the history of this university, but also in the history of the state of Wyoming. You know, today when we talk about the elite college football programs in the country, we think of Clemson, Alabama, and Ohio State. 50 years ago, the University of Wyoming would have been in that conversation. As we'll remember tonight, that all changed in the UW Fieldhouse on a Friday morning on October 17th, 1969. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my sincere honor to welcome teammates from the Wyoming Cowboys of 1969, members of the Black 14. What I want to do is begin by having the athletes introduce themselves and just a quick remark on where you live today, and then we'll get started with the questions.
Ronald Hill, Florence, Alabama.
Tony McGee, Fayetteville, Georgia.
John Griffin, Denver, Colorado.
Tony Gibson, Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
Guillermo Haisaw, Irvine, California.
Lionel Grimes, Reynoldsburg, Ohio.
Ted Williams, Waukegan, Illinois.
Brian Lee, Baltimore, Maryland, representing my father, Earl Lee of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
And I want to begin tonight with this question, and I want to make sure, can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. There was a Sports Illustrated photographer's picture that I want to ask you about. It was a sign that was held by one of your teammates, Earl Lee, the late Earl Lee. And it said this, it said, "We 14 have a lot to lose, but we do it for the Blacks who follow." So my question is, was this worth it? Please, anyone can chime in.
Well, by us sitting here today, let us know that it was worth it. For us coming back here and being able to be honored here, let us know that it was worth it. But the one thing that let us know that it was worth it, the next year Brigham Young had their first African American football player. That won it all right then.
Others, as you've thought about this over time, was it worth it for each of you?
Absolutely. And the question's been raised in the past, would we do it again? Absolutely we would do it again, because we didn't do anything wrong.
Others?
I agree with that. I would do it again, and I think it was very well worthwhile.
We all would do it again. There's no question about it. Not one question at all.
Dr. Patton is going to ask the first question that's been submitted here from the audience tonight.
Yes, one of the questions is, why didn't the Black 14 meet with the entire team to discuss their armband protest of BYU before they went to see Coach Eaton?
Well, you know, I think what it was, we, the 14, we had gone to a Black Student Alliance meeting, and they were wanting to protest against the church. We weren't doing that. We were protesting against the play. So we told them that we take the idea back to the other guys and we make a decision on it. We felt like the other guys was the other 12 black guys. We did not want to bring the white guys into this situation. It was not about them. They were not being mistreated. They had nothing against what we were going to do, so we did not feel like we should include them. It was us.
Would you still have protested if Coach Eaton would have listened to you and still declined, but still let you be on the team? Why or why not?
Well, that's what, when we first, the last thing we said before we went over to see what the coach would say and give us the opportunity to speak was if he said no, we would not wear the armbands the next day. The only thing that messed that process up, he never gave us the opportunity to speak. If he had said no to a person, each and every one had decided that we were playing against Brigham Young.
Well, first of all, most of us didn't know that Joe Williams had gone over to see the coach. And in our opinion, when we did hear about it later, I never heard what the discussion was about. So to this day, until Tony McGee and we started talking a few years back, Joe finally joined us on a conference call. Joe wanted me to call him offline and let's have a private conversation, because he knows that I would have said in front of everybody, being as outspoken as I am, what did you do over there? Was this about you and Frosty Franklin and you losing your position? Or why did you take it upon yourself to go talk to the coach? This was the night before. This wasn't, 2 days in practice, and I don't know what was in the media because I wasn't reading the local paper, but I was living it. And so I'm told that he did come back, and some of us knew that Eaton had said that if we wore the armbands that we would be dismissed. Did not know that. So when I went over there, my intent was for us to have an opportunity to say, Coach, number one, you weren't at BYU. You don't know what happened during that game. Only Tony McGee and I were at that game. You didn't run through the water and then have them say, Brigham Young washes the evil off the field. You don't know how we felt about that. But this is our way of demonstrating that religious views had no place on the playing field. That was it. That was my intent. But as Tony said, we never had the opportunity to say anything. So there was no advance notice. There was no coach warning us. Matter of fact, there was no rule, period. And if I'm jumping ahead of your question, I'm jumping ahead. Because what it said was the district judge made a comment, and Phil White, who has been the historian for this, and I'd like to thank him publicly in front of all of you for his role in keeping us together.
You call him the guardian of the Black 14 story.
But what Phil did was he sent out an article, and if you read it, read the bold part that said the district judge made a ruling, and what he said in that ruling was that the president of the university, the board of trustees, the governor of the state, and Coach Eaton dismissed the Black 14, but it was not predicated on the existence or non-existence of any coach's rule. What does that mean? It was not predicated on the existence or non-existence of any coach's rule. So how could we have been told about a rule that didn't exist? A rule that we were never told. I didn't sign any, Guillermo, before you sign this letter of intent, and by the way, they were calling me Willie, so you don't get confused. I'm Willie Highsaw at Wyoming, but I'm Guillermo on my birth certificate. So, Willie, before you sign this letter of intent, here's a clause that we have about demonstrations on and off the field. Oh, we had a team meeting, and the whole team was told that no demonstrations. That never happened. The letter of intent didn't say that. When did we hear about this rule? Where did this rule come from? But the ruling from the judge affirmed that it did not exist. But he covered himself, the judge did. He said the existence or non-existence, so it didn't matter if it existed or not. The decision to dismiss us was not predicated on that basis. So what was it?
Does anyone else have anything to add about what your feelings were just a few hours before going over on that Friday morning to visit with the coach?
Well, I didn't think anything about it at all. We were going to go over and talk to our coach. Who better to talk to? And that's what I keep having to refer back to the point that we never got to explain why we were even there. And I think you said something about we protested. We didn't protest anything. We hadn't gotten the opportunity to protest. And that's the point I keep bringing up, and I'll keep bringing it up. We didn't do anything.
Yeah, we went there to create dialogue and create some kind of feel for what Eaton would and wouldn't let us do, since the rule was not written. So it was kind of disappointing.
Did you have something to add?
I think to a man, we were hoping we were going to have some dialogue. I think deep down inside, we thought that he may react differently. He may react negatively towards us. And I think we were cognizant of that. But that wasn't going to prevent us from hopefully having a conversation and also explaining that we want to wear these armbands and we want your personal point of view. Unfortunately, he decided to go the other way with it. And then the information that came out from that conversation was that we were demanding the wearing of the armband. And that was never the truth. Had he said to us, you know, fellas, we need to table this and perhaps later on or after the season, let's talk about it.
So if Lloyd Eaton were here today in this room, what would you say to him?
It's not what I say, it's what I do.
Would each of you like to comment about that? Let's just start at the very end, and let's work down the line with that question. Go ahead. Did your dad talk about if he ever had a chance to meet the coach again?
Actually, no, he didn't. He didn't bring it up much at all, actually, which let me know how upsetting the experience was. He spoke highly of these gentlemen, but did not go into great detail about his time here at University of Wyoming. I don't think he'd have a whole lot of kind words to say, but knowing my dad, he'd probably have something very, very, very curt to say.
Sure. Ted.
I probably would tell him that you can't break my spirit, but you can't hurt my heart, and you made me a stronger man. I came here by myself, and I left with 13 new brothers, and you made me a better person. You could not hurt me.
I guess I wouldn't have much to say to him at all. I haven't really thought about it, but I would probably be more inclined to act like the modern day youngsters do, across the board, white, black, or indifferent. I'd probably want to throw him off the stage.
Really?
Well, I have a different perspective. If I saw Eaton today, I would thank him, because you helped me transcend all. I would thank him because I wouldn't be the man that I am today. I would thank him because I wouldn't have achieved all the things that I achieved had he and whoever was behind him made the decision that they made. I would thank him. I would be blessed and thank him in front of him because of these men that sit with me and that I got to know them, because I only knew Tony McGee. And then I was starting to learn these other guys, because all of them, you know, they only recruited 5 per year. And the other 3 that were in our 5 that were at BYU left. They quit. So it could have been the Black 17 if they hadn't left. But it was only Tony and I that really knew each other. And so I've gotten to know these other men, and I think that's a blessing. But the only question I would ask him, and that was what would I say to him, is why? I think there's a conspiracy theory, and I believe that it was monetized. I think we were human capital that became working capital, and they didn't see the return on their investment. I think the decision was around bowl money. I don't think it was about civil rights. I don't think it was about demonstrations or any coach's rule. I want to know why. Who told you that you had to come out and talk to us the way that you did? What was the real backdrop? Were you upset with us, or were you upset that you had to come out there and ruin what was going to be undefeated season, and then you could see a dynasty for the next 2 or 3 years with the guys that are sitting here and those that have gone before us in death? I think he was disturbed by that, and I'd want to know why. And oh, by the way, Lloyd, why were you found dead in a home by yourself in a mountain in a remote area? How distraught had you become about the decision that you had to make? And who was the elephant in the room that caused you to make that decision, Lloyd? Why did you talk to us out of character? I'd have a dialogue, not a monologue. And at the end of it, whatever he had to say, I would say, thank you.
Thank you. I personally wouldn't pay much attention to him because he didn't know what he was doing. He had no idea what he was doing. He was threatened when he saw us walk into him. He saw 14 young black men coming in, and he did not know what to do. He can make up all the stories he wants, but he didn't know what to do. And personally, he's made us better men. He really has. We've learned a lot about each other and continue to learn about each other. And I said years ago I probably would never come back here, but I'm really glad I came back here. And I only came back here because of what he did.
I'll be honest with you, I would have no interest in having a conversation with him. And the reason being, I'm just not I wouldn't be stooping down to have that conversation and allow him to enter into my psyche again. I had that experience in 1969, and if it came up again that I had the opportunity to chat with him, I would have absolutely no interest in doing that. I've always maintained my professionalism over the years, and I might say, "Hi, Coach," and I'm out. I'm gone, because I would not step down and have that conversation again with him ever.
Well, you know, I never would expect to speak with him anyway because he being on his team, and I had many very good games. He never said anything positive to me, so I would not talk to a man that talked to me the way he did. But I like what Guillermo said he would do. But I just have a question to ask him. If he was found dead in a house, how did you talk to him?
He said if he came back. He said if he showed up in this room.
Okay, I just wanted to know that.
However, the universe
I
is
thought you was a
working with
magician or something, man.
He'd be resurrected.
Right.
Have you thought about it?
It would be a divine experience.
Could not talk to Lloyd Eaton. I would not talk to him. And the problem that he had was, like so many other people in this country has, he didn't know that we had mothers and fathers. We more or less come from a balanced family, and we wasn't going to be defined by what he said and what he did. So later for Eden, and as young men, we just moved on.
I would like to say thank you all for embracing us. Thank you all for listening to us and understanding and accepting us. And thank you, the University of Wyoming.
Finally, 50 years after the 14 Cowboy teammates were dismissed from the 1969 Wyoming football team, the Black 14 received a formal apology from the university during a dinner at War Memorial Stadium above the field where they had competed as Wyoming Cowboys so many years ago. Our cameras were there to catch this important moment in Wyoming's history.
As president and athletic director at the University of Wyoming, we have had the pleasure of getting to know many of the members of the Black 14 while discussing the 50th anniversary. It has been an honor and a privilege to reconnect with you and hear your story. That story is heart-wrenching, and we feel it is extremely important for this institution to reflect on that difficult time here at UW and across the country. As an institution, we believe we have learned and grown from what you had to endure. The college experience should be a rich one and one of the best times of a young person's life. You were deprived of that experience for reasons not of your doing. Not to be heard, to be shunned, and to have your collegiate careers derailed as both students and athletes is a tragedy. Unfortunately, it continued beyond your time here. We embrace the university's mission of nurturing an environment that values and manifests diversity, internationalization, free expression, academic freedom, personal integrity, and mutual respect. We believe that mission rose in part from your courage and sacrifice. We applaud you, but more importantly, we respect you for rising above that difficult time to build productive lives. You remained faithful to your conviction as you move forward, all the while continuing to tell the compelling story of the Black 14. As you told your story, it would have been easy and maybe even expected to attack the university that turned its back on you. But you demonstrated immense character and integrity in avoiding that path. Your actions then and throughout these 50 years have definitely made a difference, not only on this campus, but throughout our country. Please accept this sincere apology from the University of Wyoming for the unfair way you were treated and for the hardships that treatment created for you. We want to welcome you home as valued members of this institution, and we hope you accept our old Wyoming saying, once a cowboy, always a cowboy. With warm regards, Lori Nichols, President, Tom Berman, Athletics Director. 50 years ago in October, the University of Wyoming and its football program were changed forever. A few people around Wyoming may still harbor anger at the members of the Black 14. But I can tell you by the outpouring of support that I have heard, the vast, vast majority feel like I do. The courage it must have taken, the conviction it must have required, and the frustration you have felt for 50 years has been real. As athletic director in 2019, I want to welcome you back, and I hope you feel truly welcome. Over the past 3 years, we have built a relationship. I have built a relationship with the living members of this group with one goal in mind: welcome you back, commemorate the story, and be better going forward. Pretty simple. Today we may take a step in making sure the story is here on this campus at the site we play football games every Saturday. We created a tribute on the most visible side of War Memorial Stadium, the location where fans across Wyoming come to meet friends, celebrate victories, and that's why we are going to unveil something very special.
This collaborative effort of athletics, student affairs, and the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, along with community organizations and faculty, created a week of laughing, learning, loving, and growth. Today's event will allow us to memorialize this group of talented men who have paved the way for someone who looks like me to be accepted into the University of Wyoming family.
The University of Wyoming can take this as an opportunity to not succumb to the norm, make a difference, and use this opportunity to teach about what happened, and take responsibility and say we're not proud of it, and we're going to take steps to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Tony was the guy that kept it together, and whatever you're going to see today and part of this in this place that is so proud to present this day for you on the 50th anniversary, because what happened destroyed the university programs for 20 years. And Tony even came back. We have something appropriate to honorably honor you. But it's a great joy. Makes me feel damn proud. Thank you, Tom, for what you did, keeping it all together.
This has been truly a week of celebration and love and caring. And this plaque on the wall is the culmination of several years of phone calls, several years of copious amounts of notes that are taken, and the conversations we've had with the university. And we thought about 5 years ago that things were beginning to change and acceptance was on the high horizon. This is the first time in 50 years we've been back on this campus together. And 50 years later, we're getting a plaque with our names on it and a little bit of history of what went on. And the experiences of what we've experienced this week has been overwhelming to all of us. The kids in the classes have seen us on the campus, and they've come up to us, and almost 99% of the kids have said, "Welcome back, and we're glad you're back." And some have gone so far as to say to us, "We love you guys." And these kids weren't even born, and their parents weren't even born when we were here. So once again, thank you all for participating. Thank you for having us back on this campus. We're now Wyoming football players again.
Funding for this program is made possible in part by the Wyoming Humanities Council, helping Wyoming take a closer look at life through the humanities, thinkwhy.org, and by the members of the Wyoming PBS Foundation. Thank you for your support.